Notre Dame, belt to ass. Belt to ass.
BTA.
All game long. When we hit stick Travis Etienne in the backfield and he fumbled that, dude, that game was over. Game over.
Over.
What's going on, You Don't Know Ball Nation? Welcome back to the show. Today we are joined by a special guest, Gavin Blades, one of my friends, one of Alex and I's friends from high school. Say what's up, Gavin.
What's up?
Is that Josh behind you?
No, it's Ethan.
Oh. Well, a lot of games happened this past week. Happy New Year's from our podcast. I didn't really post anything on Instagram for it. Too busy about Christmas, but whatever. I was a little how can I say this appropriately? Overserved New Year's Eve. So
Just
I couldn't
a
really
slight bit.
Just a slight bit. Was really nervous for a game that was not even played the next day, so whatever. But
there were some text messages here and there that were.
Yeah, there were some text messages like, no, I won't say it, but but a lot of games that were played, and a lot of good games, and a lot of good games that weren't for the SEC. Football. Yeah, great weekend of college football. So I think the first game I want to start with, Alex made a request to start in chronological order because, Michigan and Alabama played on New Year's Eve. So, Alex, we'll start with Alabama.
Alabama got their ass rolled twice in the same year.
Jordan, you guys just absolutely dominated Alabama. And the fact that Jalen Miller was trying to go out for his revenge game and went out and had 3 fumbles, a pick, and just played the worst game of his career against Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
All in
the rain.
I don't want to sound like an a-hole towards Milroe, but if we're being serious, he had an iffy year last year, started the whole year. Everyone likes to forget that he was benched halfway through last season.
Yeah.
They played 3 QBs at Bama, and then he pops off the last 2-3 games, plays Michigan, played one heck of a game towards Michigan. Can't diss him towards that. Yep. But everyone likes to act like he was the holy savior for Alabama.
The holy grail of Alabama football, and he went in.
The next Jalen Hurts.
Right, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's not a professional football player, that he's not a pro. But you can't sit here and tell me that, like...
He's a good tight end.
Right, like, he'll play halfback next year. Like,
he'll play halfback.
He's just Denard Robinson.
I think he's a better Denard Robinson. And
he is. Unfortunately.
You can compare him to Orgy in the senses. I think he throws the ball better than Orgy. I know that we're not going.
Miller throws way better than we passed for 75 yards as a team against Saturday.
Orgy doesn't know how to throw a forward pass to save his life.
I don't like to be an asshole though, but you give Orgy the second best wide receiver in the country.
He might throw for over maybe 100.
I just think there's some talk that people are forgetting about, that Milroe isn't all that. And yes, he's one hell of a player. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's not. But I think that we can all agree on the fact that the only 2 players on that Bama team were Ryan Williams and Milroe.
And Ryan Williams fell the hell off after the Georgia game, in my opinion. He didn't do anything.
But at that time, if I would have came on this podcast and said, "Oh, Jeremiah Smith is better than Ryan," I would have been laughed at by everyone.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Now,
especially
after the Rose Bowl, holy.
But I know, it's give and take. They're both freshmen. Both of them will be the 1 and 2 wide receivers when they go into the draft.
Yes,
I think it's kind of obvious, but that doesn't defer from the fact that Milroe has this guy that he's an amazing talent to throw to.
Yeah, I mean, when Milroe's play call is literally just throwing up to a 17-year-old to win the game, I mean, there's no one better than Milroe at it. I'm just kidding.
Exactly, and I think to skip to forward, we can go back to it obviously. But what happened today, Notre Dame, Georgia, it's a very good example of what happened during Bama, Georgia.
Yeah,
you get a couple lucky plays. You have a very good athlete at QB. You have a kid that's going to make plays. It's why Georgia lost. Georgia. It's why they were such a good game. It's why you can look at so many things of why Bama deserved a shot at the playoffs. You can look back at most of them. But guess what? Michigan ran their shit, so they don't deserve it. Like
Michigan, yeah, that's what we need to talk about. Is Michigan just dominated the line of scrimmage?
You know what? I can't, and I hate to keep talking, and I apologize, but you guys know, as a Buckeye, I hate to give Michigan their props. You guys, from the time that we were friends, I literally dogged the both of you for being a Notre Dame and Michigan fan.
We made a bet in 8th grade that we were going to wear the opposing jerseys if our team won, and we never did it.
We've been through the shit. And we're going to have to hold up to each other. And even if you have a 4-year win streak, we need to put something on the line there. But that doesn't. But it still is very, like, you can go back and forth on a lot of things that both our teams do with that Michigan team. And it's how they beat Ohio State. It's how they beat USC at home. You have those teams. Michigan, if they literally had a quarterback that had a brain cells, I hate to say it, but they would be in the playoffs. And it's why what's his face, the dude from Barstool, Portnoy.
Dave Portnoy.
Yeah.
It's why you can get $50 million to your team, like shit like that, is because Michigan's the best in
brand in college football. You're right.
Michigan, Ohio State, Texas, Oklahoma, Bama, like you have your. And I think this is the last year ever in a playoff standpoint that Michigan won't be in it. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong, and I think everyone can understand that. But it's just crazy to me that Michigan actually came out. Sherman Moore played for his job. They actually went out there and they wanted a win.
You're good.
I felt bad when we started it. I dropped an F-bomb. I didn't.
No, don't worry. I'm gonna put a bleep there. It's gonna be funny as hell.
I felt bad. You literally told me not to, and I go, "What's up?" But I hate to say it, and I keep talking, and I'll shut up. But I think Michigan deserves their props, and it's something that I hate to say as an ego standpoint, and even as a Notre Dame fan, I think you hate to say it. But Notre Dame can pound the rock. If they get a QB like they're getting, and who's their 5-star QB that they have behind their...
Bryce Underwood?
Yeah.
Bryce Underwood?
No, the other kid.
Oh, for Notre Dame?
No, for Michigan.
Oh, the...
Jaden Davis?
Jaden Davis is saying...
Yeah, he's a 5-star QB. In my mind, if you're Michigan, this is totally...
Well, they also got the Fresno State transfer. So Michigan's quarterback room just went from the dead last to...
Yes, this is going strictly to a Michigan base, and I apologize for that. But if you're looking at a Michigan standpoint, I think that you sit Underwood or whatever his name is for the entire. You redshirt him. Why would you not play your 5-star QB, let him go ball out, and then sit that kid?
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's a good idea, but I think Michigan paid too much money for him just to sit at bench for a year.
I'm paying him $12 million for 4 years. There's no way
to sit on the bench. If I'm that kid, I'm laughing at it. That's fair. Yeah. I agree with that. But
I think the one thing for sure, Alex, is that Michigan started 2024. No, they started the new season of college football. I'm considering the last 2 weeks of the Michigan's regular season and bowl season as the momentum going into next season. They started that off hot, beating Ohio State at Columbus the way they did, and then beating
Alabama.
A playoff team.
Alabama.
I couldn't agree more with you. The fact I think Ohio State is enough to get you started for the season, let alone going into a bowl game. You can say the best SEC team, top 3 SEC team, and you watched that entire game. I don't care what the scoreboard said. Michigan ran them. If you watched that whole game, Michigan walked them. It wasn't even, boo-hoo, Alabama has kids going to the draft. Guess what? Michigan has more kids going to the Michigan has more kids going to the draft. You don't have an excuse.
Michigan's 5 best players sat out and opted out the game.
And it was a mollywop.
They still kicked their crap in.
And that's the hardest part. Michigan scares me going forward into the year. And obviously that's a talk for in 6 months. And I'm not even trying to be like, oh, who's playing next week? But really, who's playing next week? Yeah. Michigan, you, Alex. Michigan doesn't get a say next week.
At least we won this week.
I wanted to say, I said that at the beginning of the playoffs, is that I liked Ohio State, even though they lost to Michigan. And I said, I like Ohio State the rest of the playoffs because they're not playing Michigan. Because
You know what? If I'm in Texas, I'm coming out in maize and blue. A bright M on my helmet.
Right.
Bright maize. Right here.
I don't know why
it's back to the Michigan game. 21 out of the 22 starters that played that game are coming back. So
Really?
yes, and one of them is a senior. That's the only one that's graduating. It's Max Bredesen.
So there's only one senior coming back.
No, leaving.
I'm sorry. Sorry. That was my fault.
Yeah. So and Jordan Marshall totally went off. As a freshman, he won Offensive Player MVP, and it's just a surprising performance from the Wolverines for sure. I had my doubts, but I woke up on New Year's Eve, put my Michigan jersey on. I was like, you know what, today's gonna be a special day, and we got to see Alabama lose twice to a team in one calendar year, and I think it just started the SEC downfall of what we've seen in bowl season.
What's happened all year?
Today. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Ohio State kicked the living hell out of Tennessee.
and Oregon.
No,
and
but
Oregon.
That's something to be talked about in the SEC Big Ten conversation. I feel like this happens every single year, but the Big Ten loses it because guess what? Who's won the past, other than Michigan and Ohio State, the 10 years? Who won the 8 in a row?
Yeah.
Georgia
The ACC and the SEC. Mostly SEC. And so, for that factor alone, they can shut us down being like, oh, South Carolina, Illinois, that means nothing. But guess what? Every single year, the Big Ten runs the SEC, I feel like.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they just can't win the big games, which is unfortunate.
And it's the same as saying Ryan Day or, you Harbaugh before he won. Like, you have these guys that are big caliber, 5-star kids can't win big games. Like, it's something to talk about easily for these SEC teams that I don't think it's getting talked about enough.
Yeah, and I think that now that we're moving into this playoff format, I think NIL plays a huge change. There's no team in any conference that can't beat like each other. Like Alabama can almost go lose to friggin' South Florida, like they did last year.
So, almost this year. I mean, they had
That's something I completely agree. And that's the one thing that people dissed on the NIL deals is, if you do NIL and you pay people money, and don't get me wrong, I think if it keeps going this way for, say, another 5 years, then definitely Ohio State, your Michigan, Florida State, you're going to have your teams that can pay for a team. But I think it's a simple factor, even with, what's his face from Arizona State today, and
Scatterbo.
Yeah, and even looking at Boise State with Genty, like, you have kids at that caliber that didn't go to a top program like that are going to literally carry a team here. And I think that most people like to forget, we want the best teams. And Lane Kiffin can say, we want Ole Miss here. Or, you can fight for it. But guess what?
Yeah.
That team lost 2 games, 1 game. They deserve a shot in the playoffs. Now, this is a completely different subject, but I think the playoff bracket could get changed better so teams like Oregon, who go undefeated, don't play Ohio State. But I still think there's teams like that deserve a complete shot. I think that's completely fair.
Yes. Yeah, but when their shot is what? Did Genty still had over 100 yards rushing against a Big Ten team.
But he had 30 carries. Pardon my French.
I hope if you have 30 carries, you better have over 100 yards. I don't care if you're averaging 2 yards a carry.
If we're gonna call you the Heisman of the year, where everyone's pissed about you losing it to Hunter, then obviously 30 carries, you should get 100. I was expecting 100 and a tutty.
But
I don't know. It's definitely something to talk about.
Yeah. Boise. Well, it's because let's put this. Let's say Genty was on. Let's just say Genty was on freaking. What's up? Let's put Genty on Arizona State, and they're playing Purdue. They're playing Penn State in the semifinal game. I know Scavaboo is amazing, but if we put Genty on a different team, he is running the tables. He has a better offensive line, better play calling, better offense in general.
I'm gonna rebuttal that, and I don't mean to be an ass. But I'm being dead ass. Like, obviously, yes, you have your guys that are caliber of Genty that are I'm sorry. I need to wash my mouth. I apologize. That are caliber of Genty. Look at Ohio State. You can hate on us for losing 2 games. We have the best duo backfield in the league. Absolutely. And now Isaac is sitting here saying, "Hey, you're wrong. We have the best duo back in the league." I think if Genty is on a team like the teams that are in the finals right now, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Texas, don't get me wrong. Genty's, no matter what, Genty is a talent that he's going to be an NFL pro, obviously. But I still think that he would be in the same category as Judkins, Love, go down the list. Henderson, even go into Michigan. What's his face? Edwards.
Khalil Mullings.
Donovan Edwards and Khalil Mullings.
You're telling me that Mullings isn't going to get any reps if Genty's there? Like, that's bull.
No, I'm saying that Genty would. I feel like Genty would do a lot better on.
It's hard.
I completely understand. I just think that he'd be in the same category as what I'm like. He'd be similar to a Judkins or a Love simply because he doesn't have a 5-star back who's coming in wanting his reps.
Right.
No,
but for Genty, I don't. It's hard for me to say that he'd have more rushing yards and attempts than he does now, because he's the sole reason why Boise State made the playoffs and why they got a first round bid.
I couldn't agree more.
2,000 yards is hard to do when you have a Jeremiah Love, a Jadarian Price backfield, a Travion Henderson, a Quinshawn Judkins backfield, even a Donovan Edwards, Khalil Mullings backfield.
When you can give a kid a break on 2nd and 3rd down, and your backup running back can get it on 2nd and 7, why the fuck are you going to hand it off to a kid that is going to get 30? It's exactly. I couldn't agree more with you.
Yeah. But I actually thought, for what Boise State put on the field, I thought they played a hell of a lot harder than SMU even came close to playing.
Yeah.
That's what makes me the most mad about Penn State, is the fact that if I'm Oregon, I'm hot.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Then why would he even won the Big Ten? It wasn't even worth it.
Literally, I would have put my 2nd strings in. If you're telling me I could have drawn SMU and Boise State, fine. I'm happy.
I don't care about the Big Ten championship anymore. I beat Ohio State in the regular season. We're undefeated. Let's just lose. We'll get the 6th seed, and we'll play a dogwater SMU from the ACC, and then we'll play a group of 5 Boise State team. I do not care.
Exactly. All 4 teams with a bye are you lose. Obviously, that's something that all bettors, every single analyst is going to sit here and tell you that happened for a reason. And I think it is something to talk about. But I don't think that... I still think a bye is a good thing. I don't think that they should just banish the 8 playoff, in my opinion.
No, they should keep the byes. But for me, I think if you want to keep first-round byes, it should just be the top 4 teams, not conference winners, not there's got to be the best 4 teams that had the best seasons, and then give them the bye. Just by order.
An Arizona State team, a Boise State team. I'm sorry. You can say it's bad. Look at the teams who they played. Their championships mean nothing. An Ohio State team, a Texas team who lost in the SEC championship, a Penn State team who lost in the Big Ten championship are better than those teams. And that's where I completely get where Lane Kiffin's ticked that he's not in it.
Right. But for all credit to Arizona State, they played their absolute hearts out this weekend
100%.
against Texas. They deserve to be
they're the best game in the playoffs right now.
They deserved it more than Boise.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. They deserved it more than Indiana and Boise, and frankly, even Tennessee right now. Because
I think that's a very, very valid argument.
Scadaboo put his team on his back and brought him back from being down 24-3 at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
literally at the end of the half, I almost turned the game off. I was I'm ready for bed.
I was ready to turn the game off.
Yeah.
I was ready to turn the game off at 14-3 after that punt return. Like it's over by at that point. But they fought their balls off. They absolutely did. Sam Levitt, Michigan State transfer. I know Alex doesn't really like Michigan State transfers at all, but he played his heart out. Scatterbo was vomiting on the sidelines every time he got out and ran for 140 yards.
Part of me was getting a little annoyed because I understand having OCD or shit, and when he was like
shaking his head, that was so annoying.
But I was like, buddy, come on, I've had enough of it. Like,
I played football for 14 years, and I never really noticed a single thing when my helmet was on during the game. Like, it's not that bad, and I am.
You played football for 4 years in a row at a collegiate level. Like, you can obviously say
you don't notice that your helmet's wrong at some point. Like, obviously, when it's off, oh, my helmet's off, and like, oh shit.
And I get that's nothing to hate on. Like, that's just something that you dislike it. But at the same time, I was like, what the fuck? Like,
why do we keep coming back to it?
Why are you showing that? Yes, he's their best player. Yes, he had 100 yards receiving and running, like in a touchdown,
and a passing touchdown.
Like he was a beast. But
they're like, oh, here goes Scatterbo, 145 yards and a passing touchdown for 40 yards. Did I mention he has OCD for his helmet?
But every single time he'd run off to the sideline, this guy has OCD. He's shaking his helmet and he's really tired and he threw up. That's cool, but so are the other 10 guys that are playing this game.
That's awesome, but guess what? They're coming back. They were down 20. It felt like I was watching the NFL draft. Every time there was a first-round selection, this kid has such a great story, really athletic kid. Did I mention that his mom passed away when he's 4 years old?
I don't want to be the guy to say it, but as a white running back, I feel like a lot of the announcers were like, this kid, he just has the smarts and the grits of a running back that I like to see. And I was like,
the kid just got a 2-yard run.
The kid's like, you don't hate on it, but at the same time, I'm like, what the hell? Like,
Will Compton was fired up for his all-white team because of Cam Scatterbo.
You bet your ass he was happy.
We're looking at our new starting tailback for the all-white team. But all credit to Arizona State. They played their hearts out. Texas,
I agree.
Wow, literally away from being eliminated.
I wanted to hate on Arizona State, and if I'm an Arizona State fan sitting here, I think there's a lot of calls that didn't get called. I think
absolutely.
Running back's gotta be pissed.
You can look back at a lot of iffy things, but I hate to say it, they had a fair shot. Guess what? Your Texas kicker missed 2 huge field goals. Yep. You went into OT. That's your own fault for losing,
4th and 14, and you give up a 26-yard touchdown pass. Like, that's
a dot. That's wide open.
Yeah, inexcusable. It's 4th and 14. I would have lined everybody up. One level at the first down mark, and then another level at the touchdown mark. Because where are they?
Run up prevent. Right. I want all 9 back. Like,
it wasn't even close to being covered. He beat him off the line. I watched it. I literally, as soon as the ball snapped, I was like, touchdown.
Touchdown. And the second he stepped back to look, you were like, that's 6.
I saw the highlight. I'm like, this is ridiculous. What else is Texas going to do in that situation? Like, I don't understand what Kenny Dillingham, that's Arizona State's coach, is thinking. Like, the defensive coordinator needs to be looked at, evaluated for that call. What else are they going to do? Did they run pressure on that? I can't remember.
Yeah, every single play that Arizona got a play on, they were blitzing.
Yep. Except for the last one.
Which it worked until it didn't. Like, that's something you got to look at.
They use it against them.
I don't want to toot my own horn, but like Notre Dame, you could do that with Notre Dame secondary. You could do that with Ohio State secondary. You could do that with
Michigan secondary. You're exactly right.
Yes. Michigan secondary the last 2 weeks of the season. Actually, 3 weeks of the season plus the second half in Indiana. That's what I would say.
Yes.
But I don't know. It was definitely
No, I think
a call that I would have
exactly right. I think that if you're Arizona State, you obviously you're pissed. You're not going to look at this season and say, "Oh, we couldn't have." if you're them, you easily can be in the semifinals. So there's an excuse for you to be angry.
Yeah, and they're
But with
also
that,
the Big 12 champs. So
right,
like,
look at where Arizona State was ranked at the start of the season.
nowhere.
They were literally dead last.
They were predicted to finish last.
Last. And if you're telling me all of our brackets even had them going 500,
you're high.
You're high. Like,
there's
yes.
no way that anybody in the country
And
even
so,
thought that.
even after losing that close of game where you easily could have won, I think that as an Arizona State supporter or someone that is cheering for them, you're on as high as Arizona State has ever been. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
fill those bars this weekend. I don't give a hell if you lost. Like, they deserve it.
That's what I wanted to bring up. Alex, go ahead. Go ahead.
Arizona
Alex.
State is like the 2021 Michigan team. Like, yeah, we beat Ohio State, won the Big Ten. Gotta go down to Miami, get our freaking asses
I think
kicked
that's a fair
against Georgia.
comparison.
But wait, we beat Ohio State, which we haven't done in 8 years, and we won the Big Ten for the first time in 100.
Ride that
season
high.
To me. Yeah,
ride that high.
If I'm an Arizona State fan, I'm thinking to myself, this was a great season, and I'm not even upset.
And look at all of the people that have come out after even their loss and before the game with them saying they've gotten closer with God or they've gotten closer. Right. You know, there's so many different things that you can look at that obviously that Dillingham is doing something right in that program, which people have to give respect towards.
Like Arizona State was America's team, I feel like.
America's team in this playoff. And if you would have told me that I'd be cheering for the Sun Devils at the end of the season, I literally would have laughed. So
if you would have told me during the summer that Arizona State was going to be in the playoffs in January, I would have said, you're just stupid. There's no way that a Sam Leavitt-led team, Scatterboo wasn't even known at that point. Like, no one knew who he was.
No one.
And they were the last team picked in the new Big 12. Like, there's no way. They finished 3-9 the last 2 years. So,
I couldn't agree more with you.
Give it up for Arizona State. We spent a lot of time on Arizona State, and they deserved it because they played their absolute hearts out. So.
It's something that I'm getting mad at is I feel like people aren't giving them their props that they deserve.
Right.
And obviously, it's a quarterfinal loss. I don't care. I don't care.
I don't care.
We weren't supposed to be here in the first place. That's what I'm looking at. So
you weren't even predicted to get in the NIL, the not bracket playoff, let alone the actual college football playoff.
Not even the championship game.
Right, and they're easily a contender where Ohio State could be playing them in a week.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And right now, even though they lost, this game meant so much more than going on the next round and going to a national championship. But now they have a chance to, like, their recruiting is going to go off the charts now because they made the playoffs and they established themselves as a contender in the college football world. I mean,
I hate to compare it to the game NCAA 25, but it's a comparison to where you win a winning record, you win your bowl game, you're going to have kids 3-star, 4-star maybe that want to join that team. And obviously you're going to have your 3-stars that aren't the same ability as 5-stars.
Yeah.
Look at what happened to Indiana, Ohio State. You know, like you can have, but those 3-stars are still going to work their ass off. It's exactly what happened to Arizona State. It's a very good thing to look at, and I feel like
Michigan State has been doing that for years, and look where they've been. Not the last previous 3, but like.
And this is something totally out of left field. I think Michigan State could be a top 25 team next year if they use their prospects correctly. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No. But I do think that they have a good head coach there that could bring people in. But they haven't won the games even as Arizona State has that could get the players that they want. Now, you go back and forth, and obviously Big Ten, Pac, but I think it's something to talk about.
Yes. For Alex, I think he would just like to see a Michigan State team that's okay every year but never beats Michigan.
Completely.
I would rather see Michigan State just never win a game in the rest of my life, but that could work too.
I love having some of my best friends at Michigan State, where we beat them by 45 every year. Some of my highlights of the year.
It's a nice little tune-up game for the big boys in the conference.
Right.
And then you realize one of your high school buddies is a Michigan fan, and you have to watch Michigan go down to Columbus and beat the hell out of them.
Hey,
last 4 years.
Nobody fucking asked for that. That wasn't part of it at all.
I love you, buddy.
Who's playing next Saturday?
Notre Dame.
No, not Michigan.
I want to get in the future. Who's playing now? Who's playing in the present?
Oh my God!
Ohio State's success in the playoffs is literally because of Michigan. So
you know what? I hate to say, and I don't mean to go into the next topic. Fuck Michigan. The only reason that Ohio State is dogging these teams is because of Michigan.
Damn right.
At least you guys should be saying thank you, if anything.
Yeah.
You're telling me, okay, very, very easily, we could be in Penn State shoes. We lose in the Big Ten Championship, and we get the set that they have, SMU, Boise State. You know, that's a possibility. But say we win the Big Ten Championship, and we play Oregon like they just did, or like how we just did 2 days ago, Ohio State might lose it.
Because they don't have that chip in their shoulder.
Right.
They don't have that the bottle up of rage about Michigan and playing up the flag.
Every Ohio State fan is saying fire a day, do whatever, Chip Kelly's awful. And then you're telling me these kids come out and destroy the best team in the
unloaded
country.
the clip. They emptied the clip.
It was unbelievable.
It wasn't even a game for both of your first 2 games. Which, as a Buckeye, I simply want to sit here and say, fuck you all, we're the greatest team in the league. I don't think that's crazy.
No,
but
I mean, it's hard to look at it. Ohio
unfortunately,
State
in the past 7 years, where the 2 of us or the 3 of us have gotten closer, Ryan Day has never won that big game.
And now you have one.
But he won, the 2, but we're not done.
He won against Clemson in 2020.
Which scares the hell out of me.
You guys still have, it scares the crap out of me too because of Notre Dame, because now we got to play Penn State, which I'll get into that in a second. But
right, we can get to that later, yeah.
But we still have two more games, and I'm not trying to say that I don't think Ohio State can play at this level for 2 more games, but I do wonder, are they going to have the same motivation as they did against Tennessee when they're in front of their home fans? They got the whole Tennessee takeover happening, and they whoop their ass. And then they go into a revenge game against Oregon, and they beat them. They practically beat them when they were up 34-0 in the first half. And then now they're going to play Texas, which they have nothing against.
Which, by the way, is Quentin Ewers, and he's playing his former team.
Right.
And they'll play week 1 next year.
And if you want to add on top of that, it's in Dallas, Texas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, as my opinion towards that, I don't know if that was the exact question, but as an Ohio State fan taking on Texas, I would like to say, going into 6-point favorites, you have to say Ohio State's going to be hot. I think the 3 best teams in the nation, even before today, were Texas, Notre Dame, and Ohio State.
Yes.
I agree. Completely agree.
So with that,
Ewers, Texas is.
Would I have rather played Notre Dame as an Ohio State fan? Yeah. If I'm being honest, after today's game, I'd be happy to play Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean anything because, 1, we're not playing them yet. Hopefully.
Yet.
But Texas, it doesn't matter. They have 5-star talent and kids that can show up any day.
Any day.
Yes.
I think the question we're all asking is, what Texas team are we going to get? Are we going to get the Texas team that showed up against Michigan? Are we going to get the Texas team that showed up against
Georgia?
Not Georgia. They lost in both games against Georgia that were terrible.
No, but it's a fair look at the both sides.
Right.
If we get the side that plays Michigan, I don't know if we win. We get the side that plays Bama, I think we win soundly.
Yeah, Yeah, right. If they get the side that the Texas that gets that plays like Georgia against Georgia, there's no question that I'm going to pick Ohio State to be in the Natty in a week and a half or a week.
I agree with that.
But if the Texas that we've been talking about all season long that was dominating teams all the way until that first Georgia game, and then even after before the SEC championship, it's going to be a closer game in my opinion. But I still lean to Ohio State just because they have probably one of the best. They have the best roster in college football right now.
And that's what I hate about being an Ohio State fan is I feel like it's very much a favorite. Like, oh, they're going to win. And when Ohio State has been the favorite with Day, they've never won that game.
They've been disappointing.
You can look at every big game and they've never won it. And people are starting to act like, oh, these 2 games, he's figured his shit out. But guess what? I've watched too many effing games of Ryan Day to where we lose this game to Texas.
Yeah.
Too many.
I mean, we could go back to 2021 when they did play Oregon at Ohio State, and Oregon came out with the W.
And I watched the entire game, and that entire game, Oregon deserved that win.
Yes.
And that's the thing that scares me with the best team in the SEC. Maybe they didn't win the SEC, but neither did Ohio State. Like, it just depends on the day.
All the conference champions are out of the playoff race right now.
And it's like what we said earlier with the buys. It's obviously something that has to get talked about.
Well, Notre Dame won the Independent, so I guess they're still
Well, we run the Independent, so it doesn't really matter. I kept texting my friends like that first forced fumble we had on ETN. I've had that's an independent college football hit right there. And then we had that kick return. I said that's independent football speed right there. And everybody's like, dude, shut the hell up. I don't care. I'm like, well, you're gonna care when we're beating your Georgia's ass.
When we're up, yeah.
When we're beating the SEC champion.
We're beating the SEC champion, and people are like, "Oh, you wait." I'm still waiting for Georgia to do anything because I'm pretty sure they only scored 10 points the entire game.
Yep.
3 of them were on the first drive or whatever, and then
one touchdown in the second half. One.
And Stockton, I don't think was the problem at all.
It was O-line. The O-line absolutely just
O-line and play calling. They tried running the ball. And they couldn't get anything at all.
Look at what happened with ETN when he popped the ball out and Notre Dame recovered it and they scored with 50 seconds left. Like,
yes, one play touchdown for Bo Collins. That's all right. I'm gonna get my my views about Notre Dame game out right now because I've been waiting to talk about this game.
Here.
All right, talking about Notre Dame Georgia game now.
Sorry, that was just towards Alex, not towards anyone else.
Here is my
bad.
Here is my strong opinion and post game reactions. Literally, not even 2 hours after the game ended. But if you are a Georgia fan, I recommend not listening because this is going to be just dogging on the SEC. But
Nathan's pissed.
Nathan Fopple, this one's for you. Notre Dame belt to ass. Belt to ass. All game long. When we hit stick Travis Etienne in the backfield and he fumbled that, dude, that game was over. Game over. They didn't match up physically with us at all. Our secondary,
surprising.
They had 2 plays of the entire game where we blew coverages, and one of them was a drop. Georgia had problems with that all year long, and it's still biting them in the ass. Notre Dame's offense.
Keep going.
Riley Leonard was doubted the entire season since NIU. Even myself said that I was doubting him. Goes off today, shows that he's an ultra competitor. Has that will to win every snap.
Wins offensive MVP.
Offensive MVP. Jeremiah Love gets hurt, but guess what? Next man up, Jadarian Price comes in, has 3 enormous runs for us. Jordan Fajon, all playoff long, I've been hearing Greg McElroy, hearing Joel Klatt, hearing Brandon Walker, hearing all these so-called no football guys talk about that Notre Dame's receiving core is not as good or doesn't match up to the Georgia secondary. They were routing these bits up all game long. Jordan Fajon, they had to throw penalties on illegal formations and illegal shifts because they were routing up these
Are we
kids
going to talk about
so bad.
93 on Georgia being offsides the entire game?
The entire game?
And
the
then,
whole game.
And then they called it on Bryce Young, who hit the kicker twice. I mean, hate the call, but don't mind. I don't mind Bryce Young. Don't mind Bryce Young setting the tone for that new kicker who is out there for his first collegiate game.
Right.
Don't hate it. Don't love it. But I also
not
hate
mad if it's not getting a PI totally.
We still ended up getting the ball, so I don't really care. But Bryce Young getting called offsides that one play early in the game, and then seeing Georgia do it all game long, and then have illegal shifts, illegal formations against Notre Dame that Georgia wasn't getting called for, and then seeing the total just dog shit pass interference call on Jack Kaiser, oh my gosh, the 4th and 5 play that Georgia threw up to their tight end, the next 4 plays later, that was more pass interference.
The most mad out of anything.
That was more pass interference than the first one. Like, it's 4th and 13. Just it's going to be a prayer. I mean, you gotta just let the kids play.
Just because it's a prayer doesn't mean it's a PI.
Doesn't mean it's I felt bad for the Make-A-Wish kid. Let's throw a flag to get a first down.
Fucking Susie and Make-A-Wish was really cheering for the Bulldogs. Here goes Texas next week because
the entire postseason. And if I don't want to say I'm rooting for Ohio State because if I see an SEC team not in the national championship, I am not going to be mad at all because I am sick of hearing this. It's SEC. It means more. You guys have a terrible postseason record right now. Just shut the hell up.
I couldn't agree more with you. And it's exactly what we said a second earlier about, the Big Ten teams win all the bowl games, but we don't win the big ones. This is one of the games, if you're a Big Ten team, you're Ohio State, anyone that's a Big Ten fan, you're cheering for Ohio State for the split factor of the SEC.
Yes.
I'm over it.
So everybody's over. Now that everybody can pay players. Shout out to Alabama Jones and Shane Gillis for calling this out.
Shout out to Michigan and Ohio State.
Everybody's got a chance now, and this has been one of the most. I wouldn't say I'm gonna say it's one of the most equal playing fields of college football of all time that we've seen
ever.
We're seeing Notre Dame, who was 0-8 in the BCS and New Year's Six bowl games, beat the powerhouse of Georgia, who won a national championship 2 out of the last 4 years.
But imagine, we were talking about this earlier with my family and I. Imagine that this was a 14 playoff. Notre Dame, maybe at best, is a four seed in this. They could slide in. It's possible.
Yes.
Ohio State doesn't make it.
Nope.
And everyone's looking at Ohio State as the number 1 team in the country.
Yep.
Think of the past 8 years where you've had teams like that. And that are just forgotten about.
Yes.
It's
I totally agree. Like the 2016 Michigan team.
It was so It was so infuriating for me to sit there as a Notre Dame fan, listen to all my friends, Nate Foppel, Braden Craig, all the other SEC, Grayson, even Grayson, one of our college friends. The show, everybody who listens to the show knows who Grayson is. Talk about how the big bad SEC was going to beat Notre Dame by 50. Seeing that in all the comments, and then Notre Dame just putting straight bell to ass the entire 4 quarters and winning by 13. When Indiana put up a stronger fight against Notre Dame, and they put up 17. And Georgia fans and SEC fans were the ones that complained about Indiana being in the playoff. I don't want to hear that ever again. I don't want to see them complain. I don't want to see them talk about that we got snubbed. You guys are not that good. You guys have such a big bubble about your heads. You guys think you're just better than everybody else. You're not. The college football world has changed. You guys either accept it or just get the hell out and stop watching the sport.
Yes.
Go Irish. We're beating Penn State. We're beating Penn State next week.
Hey, we'll see a Buckeye Irish at best.
Buckeye Irish national championship would be insane.
I'd be all for it. I think it's very possible.
It is. I don't know if you thought about this yet, but isn't your offensive coordinator Al Golden, or whatever his name is?
Defensive coordinator.
Defensive coordinator is playing his former team. Because he played for Penn State.
Oh yeah, he did. Oh, no. Oh, he's going to have something.
That's a good thing to talk about. That's honestly something that you wouldn't think of. That is a very
He's definitely going to have something cooked. He's going to have something cooking up for us. And then if we play Ohio State in the Natty, I'm sure Marcus Freeman's going to have something cooking for those Buckeye boys too. So
twice. He's probably going to have pictures of the 2022 game and 2021 game and the 2022 game just on the wall.
Absolutely. If we play Ohio State in a national championship after the 10-player BS that happened last season, oh man.
Just come out in maize and blue and you win.
We're dark blue and gold, so that's close enough.
It'd probably do the job.
Oh man,
it makes me mad just sitting here even thinking about it.
How do you think I feel after hearing 10 people on the field for Ohio State the last year and a half? Seeing that picture.
Imagine being a Buckeye. The past 7 years have been hell.
Notre Dame was 0-8 in the BCS and New Year's Six Bowl. These last 70 years have been hell. I had to watch Deshaun Kaiser lead a 4-6 Notre Dame team against butt-ass terrible Texas that one year. Then we go out and lose every single bowl game from under Brian Kelly, who, for one, should never have gotten that LSU job.
That's not my problem. Ohio State's better.
You guys want to compare how bad your lives were with your college football team? Until last year, I never even saw my freaking team go to a national championship because I wasn't even born the last time they won it. So, and
I wasn't even thought of yet.
Trouble at the snap, and then whatever, freaking Samuel for an overtime touchdown. He was JT was short. We all know it. JT was short.
JT was short.
All right, bro.
Last play of the game. Unbelievable.
You know, I should have worn my Michigan National Championship ring. Just brought it down. I got one. I got one for Christmas, Gavin. Did you get one of those? I didn't think so.
Nobody cares that you have that.
The last thing I'm going to say about Notre Dame winning a national championship, I wasn't even a thought yet, and my dad wasn't even a thought yet the last time Notre Dame won a national championship. So if we win it this year, right after Michigan,
and the Gipper was still alive.
I have some nice Golden Domer bourbon sitting in the bottom of my cooler in my house right now that is going to be cracked open when the Notre Dame wins the national championship, and then when I have some nice Detroit Lions tequila that I'm waiting for when we win the Super Bowl.
I'm waiting for the tequila, but I think Ohio State is right there with Notre Dame.
Yep, I agree.
We're in a collision course, that's for sure.
It's gonna be.
It scares me. It's
gonna be electric next 2 weeks. I'll say that it's gonna be awesome, and I can't wait for it.
I think Notre Dame and Ohio State will be a better game than Ohio State and Penn State.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
I think we're gonna sign off after this. I think that there is one more thing I want to show that I thought didn't get enough credit, but I love this. I love this. Got Alabama and this baby saying playoff bid. Girl's mom saying no. He stops. Beat Michigan. No. For all the Bama fans, that one was for you.
Do it. He can't do it.
Roll Tide, what?
High tide.
Hey, I got some. To all those Bama fans I met in Nashville, I hope you really feel good about losing Michigan twice in 1 year, dumbass.
I can't even hate. I got to respect it.
That's going to do it for us this week. Gavin, thank you for coming on this show. That was a lot of fun. It's good to catch up.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a while. We'll go to the bar sometime and we'll share some drinks. And
I'm ready to be on here next week after a Buckeye win.
We'll see. We'll see if Ohio State wins. We'll see. But thank you for joining us. Remember, we don't know ball. You don't know ball. We all don't know ball. Have a great New Year's, and God bless.
Love you.